I have got to get that updated for the both of us to be in there. I know I love that old intro, but anyway, for those of you who've been around for a while, you remember that was like one of the earliest things I used to do, and I just realized that's a long intro, so I stopped doing it on all my videos and trying to make things a little bit short and sweet. How's everyone doing today? I see we got Vicky Quayle here. She's already got a question ready to go. Sandy Blythe is in here. Let me bring up the YouTube screen too so I can see, because sometimes my software doesn't show me everything that's going on.
Hello.
Granny Boo is here. Hello, Granny Boo.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone's feeling good today and doing well. Staying strong.
Why is it not bringing up the live feed here? Doggone it. Let's see if we can get this going.
Well, what are you trying to find?
Well, I just want to make sure that I can. Sometimes the comments come up on YouTube quicker than they do through the broadcasting software. So,
okay.
Trying to see if I can get it to play. And that way we won't miss anything. While I'm getting it started, I will ask that if you do have any questions, please start by putting a Q in front of your comment in the chat down below. Hi, Rita Lesser. Good to see you here. And if you want to jump to the front of the line, you can always do a super chat, which always helps the channel. So thank you very much for that, because that helps support what we're doing here so we can keep coming back and talking to folks. And if for any reason it doesn't allow you to do a super chat, let me know, because I haven't figured out this monetization thing, whether I should turn it on before or after the beginning of the broadcast, because I don't want commercials popping on during the live stream itself. So I'm trying to make sure that it's a good experience, especially for those who took the time to be here live. How you doing, Vadim Chernov?
It's hot here, yes.
Good old Rick is here. Is it hot there as it is here in Miami? It's pretty hot. Let's see, it's 88 right now. It was 90 earlier. So, but I love it. One of the new things that's new for me on Carnivore is I love the heat now. It used to be I hated the heat.
I wonder if anybody else has that. Maybe we could bring that up today just to see. Can you tolerate heat better on Carnivore? Is that a a side effect to maybe losing weight or just eating high protein? People say they can handle it better. Some people say they don't even need sunscreen, that their skin doesn't burn. I find that extremely fascinating, but that would be a good topic to talk about.
Absolutely. Well, I love the part about the sunscreen, man. That's because I live to be in the sun. If I can get out there in it and not here in the house doing work or something that keeps me at the computer. And
well, you like to mow lawn now.
Yeah.
He used to hate it. He used to hate doing yard work. Now he's like, oh, yard's done, weed whacked, it's all picked up.
Well, I hated it for two reasons. One, I hated the heat, and two, I was allergic to everything.
Yeah.
Now I can get out there and don't have to wear a mask and all that stuff. I know we covered that the last time though, but it is nice to enjoy doing the extra labor. I never enjoyed doing, like, I was I was the kind of guy, I was like, man, if I can work indoors, then that's the perfect job. And now it's the total opposite. If I could get something working outside, that would be wonderful.
If he could pay someone to do it, that's what he did. He didn't want to do it.
Yeah, if it was something to do outside, I had to pay somebody else to do it. Now I love to jump in and do it. Chopping down a tree, dealing with a tree stump, cutting grass, weed eating, any of that stuff. All of that changed after Carnivore.
Totally different person. Totally different person from before. It's wonderful.
And I got my Don Johnson 80s vibe going today. I just haven't shaved in a couple of days.
Yep.
Been a little bit worried about my mom. And by the way, for those of you who have been praying for her and offering up condolences and concerns on the Facebook post that I posted on my personal Facebook page earlier, thank you very much. She did make it through the night. She's been to 2 doctor visits today, and I haven't heard about the second one yet. All I can say is our medical system is a absolute mess. There's some great doctors, some wonderful nurses out there, but the way they operate, the way they move them through the
conveyor belt
of the system is just awful, because, you know, you got an 85-year-old woman laying there in a hospital bed for 3 days, not getting any answers. And then they say, well, we need to send you for this, but they can't send her for that. They got to send her home. And then she goes home and has a collapse because she should have been seeing the doctor right away instead. And it's all very frustrating, but by the grace of God, she's made it another day, and we're just praying that she'll keep on going. So I got a question here from Vicky Quayle. Question about beef supplements you're taking. I tried gallbladder and spleen, and I'm experiencing tons of acid coming back up after fatty meat meals. My gallbladder was removed 22 years ago. Any advice? Well, I had my gallbladder removed 23 years ago, so we're almost in the same boat there as far as having the gallbladder out. And I'm not sure what makes the difference, but some people have a harder time getting fat adapted. I know when I first started eating this way, I was buying the cuts as they came from the store, which are typically trimmed fat. And I was eating a lot of deer meat, which is very lean. And I was eating a lot of lamb, which is leaner than most of your beef. So it might have given me a jump start. But one of the things that'll happen, the more you're consuming fat, even without a gallbladder, is that little, what is that? I forget what they call it. The channel that sends the bile from your liver to the gallbladder will start to dilate over time, because it's like, hey, we need to make a lot of bile all the time. And it'll actually expand to hold more bile. So it'll become kind of like a miniature gallbladder. As far as supplements that I take, I don't take any. And I did experiment with ox bile for like a week, but I didn't notice any difference. So I just said, well, no big deal. But I know for some people, ox bile can be absolutely important.
The common bile duct?
Common bile duct, yes, thank you. That was it, the common bile duct. But, you know, it may be a possibility that you don't need as much as you think when it comes to those supplements. It might just be that at first you might not need as much fat while your body's adapting. But like these days, man, the fat, I get the fat on the ribeye, you know, that big, huge chunk at the bottom. I tell them, do not cut that off. I'll eat that by itself. It won't bother me a bit, because I'll be satiated all day and I'll feel full. But I like eating the meat too. So, I mean, things change as you go and you get better with this. So hang in there.
Hi, Sandy. Will you please hand me your water real quick?
Sure.
Thank you, babe.
Kooky Carnivore says hello from rainy Maryland.
I wish it would rain here. Florida needs some rain.
Yeah, we definitely need rain. Our grass is just barely surviving, and we just got this sandlot and scorpions that we had before we moved here turned into where it has some grass. But now we got to keep it alive with sprinklers, and that runs up a lot of bill on the what do you call that thing? The well pump.
Yeah.
It's a good thing it's a well, though. At least I don't have to pay for the water, but running that well pump gets expensive.
We're not running that much. We just did it those 2 days. You know, I'm just doing it sporadically
We
now.
did more than that. All last month I was doing it.
Oh.
Miss Iris says, thank you for that. Very kind comment.
Yay.
Papa Carnivore is here. Good to see you, Papa Carnivore.
I hope that's okay up there, babe.
Colin Vernal, hello to you both.
So I have a question that kind of goes along with that question.
Okay.
That she asked. So
We'll get back to it.
The organ itself, the gallbladder, do we know what it does?
Yeah, it stores bile.
So people have their gallbladder removed, right?
Yeah, I had mine removed.
Right.
My son had hers removed, and the Vicky, who commented earlier, she had hers removed. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact of all this low-fat dieting that we've been promoting since the 1980s. Because if you're not using the organ for what it's designed for, which is to help you digest fat, specifically, the bile is designed to help you digest fat. It just sits there and sits there and sits there and sits there and turns into sludge. And then they can't do anything about it, or at least they say they can't do anything about it. I have heard some people say that they've been able to reverse it, but I don't know exactly how.
So it's
There's my phone going off. I'm gonna have to call you back, Neil.
So when people have, let's say, their gallbladder is, I don't want to say clogged. I don't think that's the right word.
Full of gallstones.
Right.
That's what happens.
It's because it doesn't have fat to help break it down?
No, when you digest fat, your gallbladder is storing bile for the purpose of, oh, there's fat in your system, and it's going to release that bile to help your intestines digest that fat.
Okay.
So that you're able to process it, because without it, it doesn't break down properly, and then it winds up coming out real fast in the end, you know? So that's what it does. And when you don't have a gallbladder, you don't have that extra backup supply of bile to help break down the fat so you can digest fat better.
Okay. Okay. A little bit better. I'm gonna have to look it up because I've never done a deep dive on that.
Hello to you both. At the beginning of 24, I was feeling how you were when you started carnivore. Luckily, I came across your channel in my research on carnivore, and I have bad IBS. Did you have bad IBS before, or do you still have it now? All I can say is that a lot of times, like when I did Atkins diet back in 06 and 07, I know that I did the induction diet for the entire 6 months, and that was only supposed to be like 2 weeks of it. And I had runny stool the whole time, but I was also eating salads, and I was eating stuff that is not on a carnivore diet. And if you're eating cheese, that's definitely going to add to that as well. It could also add to constipation, but I mean, just having that stuff that you're not used to having, and not just going strictly carnivore, can make a big difference. When I drink the fat, which I often do sometimes because I don't have a gallbladder, I wouldn't say it's IBS, but it causes runny stool. So I mean, if that's what you're referring to. But if you're saying that your stomach is causing you pain on a carnivore diet, it's probably fat adaptation that you're still working on. So again, you might want to take it easy with the fat to begin with, and then slowly add it in as your body gets used to it. There's nothing wrong with starting off with a keto version of carnivore, where you're adding a little bit of vegetables and stuff like that gets you going, so that you're not making such a drastic transition. I made a pretty big transition, but I was also, for the most part, not eating a whole lot of vegetables anyway. I mostly ate like low carb burgers and stuff like that. I did eat some vegetables, but I was already off of sodas, so I'd gotten away from a lot of sugar by then. So it made it a lot easier to make the transition starting off real fast.
I've always tolerated heat, but I still hate it. Yes.
Yeah, well, I hate it when I'm waiting in line to pick up my son and I decide to turn the car off and just feel that Florida heat pouring into the car.
Colin, that's really encouraging.
Okay, Papa Carnivore wants to know if you've tried your new travel cooler.
Oh my goodness. So this lunchbox, it not only, so it's a portable lunchbox that heats itself up. And it comes with its own little tote that's in like a thermal to keep it warm. So I thought it would just warm it up, you know, you plug it in, it's got a little heater. It cooks it. It actually cooks meat. It gets so hot. So it's a game changer for carnivores. Because, you know, eating cold meat, you do it in a pinch, or, you know, bacon's good cold. I don't mind it at all. But sometimes when we're going out, like I had burger patties. I'm really hungry, I'll eat it. But I don't want to eat a burger patty cold. I just don't want to. I feel like I choke on it and it just doesn't taste good. So I had 2 burger patties. I put some cheese on it that day because I was at work. And I had some scrambled eggs and some bacon in it. So I plugged it in. I let it sit in there about 20 minutes. I came back and the eggs were brown. I'm like cooked to it. I was like, oh my gosh, this thing cooks it. So it was delicious though. That is a game changer. I'm absolutely in love with it. I can't thank her enough for it. And I'm just excited about it because I feel like if that's something I could do for my son next year, I might get him one. I might, yeah.
Our thanks to Caprice Hockstead. We didn't
Yes.
have her name at the time of opening that last week, but that was who sent it. So thank you again, Caprice. I know we pinned it in the comments on last week's video, but I just wanted to make sure we gave you the credit for doing that. It was very kind of you to send that.
Yeah, game changer. I highly recommend you getting one for this diet for when you're traveling or going to work. So that way it helps prepare you, so that way you're not just going to eat whatever's there. Because that's me. I was a creature of convenience. So, absolutely beautiful. Excuse me.
Nancy says she still gets sunburn here in SoCal. I guess it depends on how long you're out there. I will say that, I mean, when we went, what was that, paddle boarding the other day, I mean, I don't wear anything, and I come back and I'm fine. And then I worked on the lawn all afternoon after that. No problems at all. Now, I did fall asleep one time at my brother-in-law's pool while we were out there, and I woke up and it was dark, and I'd been out there for who knows how long laying in one position. I did get a little blister the next day, you know, where your skin starts to peel, but not nearly as bad as what it should have been or would have been had it been before this. I mean, I used to get a sunburn within an hour or two of being outside. Now I can be outside for hours and not have any problems.
Well, you go brown. You go out, like, you won't be outside for a while, you know. It's winter work. Then as soon as he goes outside in the sun, his skin automatically just absorbs the sun rays and does this golden brown with a little red on it, and then it goes away and he's just bronzed. I go out there and I just turn red. It's just that natural Italian blood he has in there.
Yeah, I got that Southern European melanin design, and she's got that Irish English mix. So she's more for the fair weather areas, or what do you call it, where there's a lot of cloud cover and not a lot of sun.
I do love the sun, though. I do like going out in it, but I just can't handle heat. It's different when you're out in the sun. You know, if you're out in the sun in a bathing suit, enjoying it, I'm okay. But if I have on my work clothes and I'm outside, oh no, it's too hot for me.
Got a question from Rita Lesser here. Starting over again, find I need a protein shake during the day. Is that a problem? Not if it's working for you. It might be a problem if you don't double check the ingredients. A lot of these companies that make this stuff are the same companies that make all the food garbage that we're trying to get away from. And they'll put things in there that will get you hooked and get you to consume more of it than you should. They'll have sugar substitutes. That was just another way of saying that, hey, we wanted to make sure that you stick with this product and keep buying more of it, and it'll cause you to want more other things that you shouldn't want. So just check those ingredients and be familiar with the many forms of sugar, because there's like 70 different ways that sugar can be listed on an ingredients list. And they can catch you off guard, not to mention some of the other issues that are with ingredients, things like citric acid that aren't really citric acid. Well, I mean, technically it is, but it's not made from lemons or limes and things like that. It's made from black mold known as Aspergillus niger, and it causes inflammation in the body. So you just got to watch those ingredients. Jeff Schulmeyer is here. Good to see you, brother. Rick, the Outlaw Carnivore, is here, getting comments removed by YouTube. Yes. Well, I'm glad you made it, Lucius. Ruth, Moon Eater. Man, that's a big appetite. Well, I'm glad you made it here live for the first time. Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, she's just going through a hard time right now, but the prayers are very welcome, and I thank you so much for that. Something went down the wrong way for Katie. She'll be back in just a moment.
Well, I ate that steak pretty quick.
Yeah, we just had a big old New York strip steak just before the thing started, and as usual, she had to rush to get going and get started because she just gets back from having our son picked up from school right when she gets here. Papa Carnivore, I helped take care of my 84-year-old mom. She's now doing keto, lost 20 pounds, off 2 to 3 blood pressure medicines, less joint pain. Doc cut her insulin Doc cut her insulin and Ozempic in half. Well, that's definitely moving in the right
awesome.
direction.
Yes. I've noticed my inflammation's gone down a lot. I'm so sorry. It's like right in the back of my throat.
Florida is a bit of a desert. You know, back in the, I remember growing up in the 70s and 80s here, it's so different than it is now. But it doesn't help that so many people are chopping down all the trees to make for all these new move-ins that are going on. We bought our property and it's loaded with trees, but we didn't chop hardly any of them down. We got rid of a few pine trees that were going to be right around the house, but we kept all the cherry woods, and we kept like half of our property is covered in trees because we didn't want to cut everything down, because that heats up the soil, it disrupts all the animals, and causes all the ticks to start to spread to different yards and all kind of stuff. And there's an erosion problem with that. Florida has scorpions. Yes, it has scorpions. You'll find them all over our property. Katie was doing some farming out at one of our neighbors' yards where she has like a little farm out there, and she was like, "Ooh, what is that?" They had a scorpion crawling on her neck.
It stung me. It stung me right in the neck.
Yeah, even though, and it was one of those little ones which are supposed to be so bad, but it's pretty much like a really bad bee sting, so they're not the worst thing in the world. At least depending on the type of scorpion, I guess.
I'm so sorry.
Got another question here. Lucius Ruth says, what's your opinion on 50% or more pork diet for a carnivore without any serious health problems, and how to really grasp how much to eat? Afraid that eating when hungry can be too little. Well, you know, your body's true signal for when you need food is hunger. So I personally think eating when hungry is the key, and that's when I don't have anything to eat until I'm hungry. The only reason I send my kids off in the morning with breakfast, I've had people say, they shouldn't start with breakfast. Like, that's because they go to school, they're going to have access to the junk that's there, and I want to make sure they start with something good so that at least they have something to get their day started, and maybe they can get through without having to eat any of the garbage that's there. As far as eating pork, you know, most people on the carnivore diet, pork is going to be absolutely fine for them if their goal is weight loss. But if your goal is, certain autoimmune disorders or things like I had where it was gut related, specifically leaky gut, the lion diet was more important for me because I'm just so sensitive to everything, even pork, which makes it hard because I love bacon, but I can't have it as much as I would like. I occasionally have a bite or two here and there, but that's usually when I experience a little bit of discomfort later on. But like I say, I have friends that are carnivore that lost lots of weight and got their health under control, and they eat pork and chicken and seafood and whatever. So, I mean, it really depends on the person. The reason I talk about lion diet, though, is not only was it important for me and it was the key for my healing, and a lot of people have found that it was the key for the healing they needed, but also you don't know if you don't try. If you haven't tried to eliminate everything to that point, you're not going to know if you had a problem sometimes, because we're so numb to all the things that our body feels from years of eating the standard American diet. And there's everybody's favorite other star of the show. This is Sam. For those of you who've been watching back when I used to put my Ruckin' Talks on YouTube and my Walkin' Talks, he's still with us. He joined me on a walk and talk one day, and he's been with us ever since. Just checking for questions here. Meanwhile, I do have a question I could bring up that somebody had for Katie earlier. Let's bring this one up.
Oh, no.
Katie, has carnivore helped the acne yet? Is it cyclic? You could look into how your hormones are affecting the acne. I had years and years of 1 per month leading up to my cycle, all in the chin area, and now I'm on BHRT. They have all stopped. People are afraid of BHRT like they are fat, and for me, the addition of hormones has been life-changing, just like taking the processed foods out. Is that the question you were referring to that you were concerned about when you sent that to me earlier?
I wasn't concerned about
or
it.
that you wanted to talk about?
I don't know what that acronym is.
Oh, well, that would help if we knew what that was. Let me see.
I was asking
BHRT.
you. I'm assuming it's some type of hormone therapy, but if anybody knows what that is.
We'll ask Grok real quick. He'll tell me.
Oh, we have to ask the AI.
What is BHRT?
I miss the old search engines.
Well, the old search engines used to work before they started. I don't know what they started doing, but now search engines don't do anything.
So I was right. It's a hormone replacement therapy.
Mm-hmm. And I know your doctor had recommended that for you at one time. Wouldn't that, like, basically they wanted you on birth control, even though?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's hormone replacement, basically.
Yes,
isn't
you're
it?
right. Well, this is different. I think this is more specific. That was for the severe pain and heaviness of the cycle. They wanted to put me on birth control. They said it might help it. It didn't help it. It made it worse.
Typically involves hormones like estrogen, progesterone, or testosterone. And I know that estrogen was one of the ones that were in the one that they tried to give you. So
yeah, I don't want to take any of that stuff. Too many horror stories, but I don't know. It could very well be my hormones, and I know Lisa has talked about this, and I really need to have a better understanding of it. She says it could not be our hormones, but our liver, and how healthy our liver is, or how unhealthy our liver is. And I honestly believe that might be part of my issue. Because it was a cycle, absolutely 100%. But I quit drinking soda a few years ago. I'd say at least 2 years ago. I completely stopped drinking because I used to be a ginger ale a day. That's all I had. I didn't like Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper or anything like that. But once a day around 2:30, 3 o'clock, I would crack open ice cold ginger ale in the middle of summer. It was delicious. And I noticed that if I did have a Coca-Cola, just one or a half of one, within 2 days, I would have a boil on my face. So I started realizing that what I'm putting into my body and what it's trying to filter out, it's not filtering it very well, and it's coming out in my skin. So I do believe when Lisa brought that subject up about it being our liver, I connected that. So it could be also my hormones. I am 41 years old, and so I'm going to look more into it. I have to do a panel of blood work, and I also have to do another exam coming up later this year. So I'm going to look into it and see. But yes, carnivore has helped my acne. I feel like I don't have as many. I do have one right now because it's getting close. But I think it has. What do you think? Do you think my skin looks more clear than usual?
She used to have a real hard time with that. I mean, it was bad, and but I guess still with that monthly friend joins in, it always causes things to pop up. But I mean, that's
right.
That's just kind of the nature of the beast. But it might be something you have a little bit less of as you get better, and you've been doing a lot better. Like this week, have you had any strays from carnivore?
Oh, so at work I was really hungry, and so they were serving shepherd's pie, so I had the bottom half. But I think I got
part.
Yeah, I have the bottom half, but I think I got a little carrot or pea or whatever was in it because I just was eating it so fast. But I completely took off the top. You know what I mean? Just kind of scooped trash and then ate the bottom part. So
sometimes you got to do the best you can.
Yeah, I was just eating it real quick because I was starving.
So revisiting Colin Vernon's comment, Papa Carnivore had asked him if he had reversed any of it, and he said, I lived without IBS since 2015. Had to go off work when I was 26. It was bad. Went on carnivore last year, reset my GI, made a massive difference. Unfortunately, meat is very expensive. Somebody say, I keep hearing that about meat being expensive, But I'm going to tell you, I saw something that broke down the cost of a bag of potato chips. When you
Oh
look
yeah.
at 2.5 ounces of potato chips at what, $3.69 for that, it broke it down, and it was actually more than the cost per pound of a ribeye to eat potato chips. Not to mention most of the vegetables and things. You got to let Sam out too. He just keeps begging for attention, and I can't focus on both. But the thing is a lot of this stuff, whenever, like, we still make a lot of regular food for the kids. When I say regular, I mean they're eating more whole foods. But when it goes in the refrigerator for leftovers, nobody ever wants to eat them. And then when it comes around time to eat them, we look at them and they're covered in mold. And it's like, we got to throw that away. That never happens with steak. Never. If it's in the refrigerator, it doesn't last a day, because I'll usually have a little bit left over, and I'll think, I know I'm going to be hungry later tonight, so I'm going to save this for when that happens and I got something ready. I never waste a drop. But when it comes to all that other stuff, all those vegetables and chicken, nobody wants to reheat chicken, at least not very many people I've found. I mean, reheating chicken's not very good. Reheating pork is usually all dried out. And when I reheat steak or something like that, I throw it in the air fryer on reheat. It comes out wonderful. And if I'm in a big hurry, I will occasionally use the microwave, although I don't like to. But overall, even though meat is expensive, and I can relate to it because, like, the steak prices are off the chain right now. So we've been buying a lot of ground chuck lately. And I made a video that I haven't broadcast yet. I did put one out on Instagram the other day showing me making those ground chuck burgers. I had no idea how good a burger could be until I slowly cooked ground chuck using a lot of tallow in a pan and just keeping it drizzled and covered and turning it every couple of minutes, cooking it nice and even. Best burgers I've ever had in my life. Probably beats some of the steaks I've had out there. Not the New York strips and not the ribeyes, but there's other steaks I've had. Like, I would rather have that ground chuck than I would a sirloin steak. And at $4.99 a pound, it was affordable.
Plus eggs.
Oh yeah, eggs. Eggs are still, they're high in a lot of places, but if you shop around, I know Costco, somebody was telling me that you can get them for about the same price they were at Sam's Club. They have a 24 pack at Costco. I think he said it was $8 for their 24 pack. And I know Sam's Club's 18 pack was $6. And these are for pasture raised eggs, not just your regular vegetarian fed eggs. So it's not terrible at 50 cents an egg. You know, it's not too bad. Yeah, I see you're looking to buy a huge chunk of beef as soon as you can. That's always nice.
2 fried eggs on top of a burger patty is delicious.
Do either of you take any supplements like magnesium? Well, since Katie started Carnivore, I've been making a version of bulletproof coffee that doesn't use MCT oil. I just add a little bit of relight to our coffee.
Sorry.
They just keep coming back. All of our dogs are so excited when Katie gets home. It's just like a zoo in here. And the cat.
It's my zoo.
What was I saying? Supplements. So anyway, I take 1 pack of Relight and we'll split that between a coffee that we each have. I used to not drink the coffee, but it was easier just to make this mixture all at once than it was to do my hot water mixture and her coffee mixture. So I've been kind of on coffee for a couple of months. I will say I do have a harder time getting to sleep at night, and I do wake up harder as a result of it. I think coffee is like a drug that just perpetuates a continual cycle of not being able to sleep properly. But I know how people love their coffee, so I'm not here to try to talk anybody out of it. It's cultural more than it is food related, it seems.
I do take magnesium at night. I don't take it every night. If I had a really hard workout or if I'm extra sore, I will take one at night. I probably take it about 3 to 5 nights out of the month. I try to take it at least 2 hours before bed.
Mike Damien has a question. A while ago, you started doing sprints. Are you still doing them? No, I developed plantar fibromas on both of my feet, which is right on the arch of my foot. And a professional sprinter said, you need to stop. So you got an unusual difference that not a lot of people get. And it happened on both feet. And it was starting to become uncomfortable and just to walk normally. But and they don't go away. That's the other thing. They've gotten a little smaller, but they haven't gone away. But they don't bother me. I still ruck. And again, the coffee thing has disrupted my rucking some because I've been getting up, having a hard time getting up, and then the other issues with my mother and all the stress of what's going on with that. So, but yes, I still ruck regularly, and I get out and exercise as much as I can. It's just a lot's going on in our lives between the kids being, we got one getting close to graduating, one who's doing 7th grade and 8th grade at the same time. So I'm spending a lot of time with him. And I was trying to do the insurance business, which got to be just way too much. And yeah, so excuses, but I haven't had as much exercise as I'd like in the past few weeks. But I will get back to it because I know what a big deal it is when you get away from it. And it can be tough. You gonna try sugar diet? Absolutely not. It's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. I think that is a psyop more than anything else. I mean, it's like, oh, carnivore's getting people healed. Well, let's come up with something that's the absolute opposite of what makes sense, and we'll talk about that. And now I've found that if you do a mono diet, where you're just eating one thing, like I mentioned this before, Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller, he lost a whole bunch of weight eating only potatoes. What strangest thing I'd ever heard, because it's just loaded with starch, but somehow it worked. But he didn't put anything on them, no salt, no butter, no, I mean, what a miserable existence. I would much rather eat a delicious steak than potatoes. And there's no way that sugar can be good for you in the long run when it comes to how it's going to affect your insulin production, insulin resistance, the overgrowth of your organs as a result of the high content of insulin in your blood all the time. It's going to have negative effects. There's no way I'm touching that diet.
Your brain function. I can't imagine your brain thriving on that.
It'll definitely make you have a lot of dopamine for a while, but you're gonna burn that out pretty quick too.
Sounds to me like something the WEF put out there. They want you to eat bugs covered in sugar.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, it's one of them psyops. Hey, Damascus Road Trucker, nice to have you in our area today.
New homes.
JLH gives you an excuse that you don't have to be on the live stream if you're not feeling well. It's fine to take a rest and appear on the next one. Isn't that nice?
Yes, thank you, because I worked all weekend, and then I taught class last night, and I worked out till about 9 o'clock, 9:30. Got up this morning, did it all over again, and by Wednesday night, I am just tired. I am, especially if I work that weekend. I don't know. I think I ate the steak too fast and got some salt in my throat.
So getting back to Colin Vernon, he's been having a hard time fitting everything into the chat. He started at 232 pounds. He's 5'6", 5'7"-ish, dropped down to about 170, back up to 195 now. Well, you moved in the right direction. It's easy to put some back on if you let it go. I think you said you let it go for a little while. Nancy says, I got to pat you on the back. Are you okay?
Yeah. I think I am going to become an iguana farmer.
What? Oh, because Rick said, I've seen iguanas
eat scorpions.
Oh, yeah. Well, we need some iguanas if they eat scorpions.
I think we do. I need about 50 of them in my yard. Have a little farm.
Volume seems low. Maybe it's just the mic isn't close enough or something. Hopefully hers is doing better. I'll talk louder. How's that? Thank you, Joseph. God be with my mom and give her strength. Amen. That's all I ask for, is that she's not in pain with all of this. The worst thing is the fainting and the falling as a result of what she's going through, because that's she's 85 years old and her old body just doesn't need to be taking all that damage. So thank you for your prayers. Just looking for questions. Helps if you put some cues in front of them. I can find them quicker. I agree. Carnivore works for all humans. We're all carnivores. I think it would work for everybody. The only thing I fear is if everybody started doing it, then the meat prices would really go crazy. But at the same time, for people who need the healing, who need to have something to change to save their life like I was at, then I certainly think that it's very important that you take a look at it. Well, let's take a look at some of the other, since I don't have a lot of questions coming in from people, we'll look at one of the other questions I had saved here. Can you please help an ex-vegetarian? How come carnivores don't eat more sausages or chicken? I can't eat steak or big chunks of meat. Well, a lot of carnivores do. So I don't know that that's the case. It really just depends on what their particular diet is. If they're doing a lion diet, they're probably going to stay away from sausages and chicken. But there's a lot of carnivores who do eat those things. Now, one of the things about chicken is it doesn't have a lot of fat. And one of the things about sausages is it usually has other ingredients in it. And sometimes those ingredients can include sugar or some other form of sugar that causes you to not stay in ketosis. And a lot of people's goals with carnivore is to be in ketosis.
And maybe it's a texture thing for them. They didn't go into it in detail, but I know people that have texture issues when eating. I'm sure many of you also have that. One reason why some people can't get past liver, not just the taste, but the texture. But you can still have steak or hamburger and you can have it in small bites. You don't have to have big chunks, you know? You can cut it smaller so that way your texture palate can handle it better.
You know, I've been having a group meeting on Sundays with Healing Humanity for the past few weeks, and one of the people there had said something about having a meat aversion problem, and he initially said, well, when I told him, I said, it's in your head. It's something we've convinced ourselves that we have an aversion to. I really don't believe it's physical. And his first reaction was, well, geez, that's kind of rude. And yeah, I can be that way sometimes because if I think something's the truth, I'm going to tell you, and that's what I think the truth is. And I believe it still, that it's in your head. If you think you have meat aversion, it's in your head. And you've got to get to the point where you say, this is actually healthy for me, and you'll find that you like it. I found that with salt, and I found that with fat, because I used to think I hated fat and I hated salt. Now I love them both. It was all in my head. A few weeks later, he came and pointed this out to me, and he said it was absolutely true, that it was all in his head, and now he is able to eat meat without any problems. Because once he pushed through that and said, you know what, if that's what it is, I'm going to find out. So thank goodness for that.
And that's how deep the lies go that we have been drenched with for 50 years. Our whole society. It's like we all have to wake up to this. We all have to and how many people are not going to do that, right? How many people are not going to even recognize that, acknowledge it? They walk around thinking, "Oh, I'm staying away from salt. I'm staying away from fat. I'm eating salads and kale, and sugar-covered bugs. I'm healthy." Like, it's such a mountain to move for any of us. And we know for ourselves too. I'm a very stubborn individual. But finding out, it's like one of your core beliefs, it's just something everybody knows. This is what you do. This is how you do it. And then when you realize it's a lie, it shatters you. And some people don't come back from that shattering. It's a breakdown of your psyche. You can't believe it.
Past 5 years, we've had a lot of shattering going on, not just with our food, but with a lot of things.
Yeah. So I think, when your parents scold you, if you did something wrong, you kind of like, okay, well, I kind of deserve that. But, if you didn't, you feel unjust. But it's kind of like that. The guy kind of took it personally because he believed it. So it was a personal thing for him, and we have to overcome those. And it's really hard. And that's why I always say have grace with people, because we believe what we're told. So many things we take it all for it's kind of like for granted, like how bad the lies are, the simple lies.
Good to see you, Kip. Just wanted to acknowledge I saw you here. First time I've seen you here. Nice to have you, brother. Hope things are going better for you lately.
Yeah.
I got a little behind on the comments. We're getting a lot of them, but just not seeing a whole lot of questions. A lot of folks talking to each other.
That's good. Everyone chit chat.
What can I do for electrolyte? Well, there's salt. That's one of the big ones. I mean, sodium.
It's the cheapest one.
Sodium and chloride are both electrolytes. So, I mean, the first half a year I was doing this, that was all I was using was salt. And I prefer Redmond real salt. I know some people complain about whatever the trace molecules are and all that stuff, but I honestly believe that is directed by other salt manufacturers wanting to put down other salt manufacturers. So because most of those trace minerals don't make a huge difference, and if it did, that the natural part of us eating it would be a problem for everybody. Not to mention, I've been eating tons of Redmond salt for 4 years, and I don't have any issues. I've even been checked for heavy metals and all of those things, and everything is in the normal range.
Here's one for you, Dante.
I have been trying to find a weighted vest and keep delaying the purchase because I'm not sure it is the one I want. Any recommendations? It will help with my battle against osteoporosis. Well, the one I use can be found on my website at ferrignofreedom.com. I have a whole page dedicated to merchandise that I use on a regular basis. Because I get questions like this all the time, I decided to make a specific page on my website, ferrignofreedom.com, where you can see a lot of the things that I use. And I try to keep it up to date, but sometimes I don't have everything on there. But I do have the weighted vest that I use on there. And it can be adjusted from all the way from 4 pounds to 40 pounds. So it gives you some adjustability. And I did get the one with the shoulder straps because that weight up here, especially when you're carrying 40 pounds, can be a lot. So the extra straps do help. Go Ruck is another one that I'm not a sponsor with, but affiliated with. I would love to be able to afford theirs. They're a bit more expensive than what I can afford, but they make some things that are a bit more tailored to people's different sizes, and they're great for maybe a person with a smaller frame. But they're not inexpensive. I will say that. And I have links on. I'll have a link in the description for it. If I don't have one now, I'll have one at the end of this video.
Yeah, there was a interview. I cannot remember this young lady's name. That Dr. I forgot what his name is. We met him in Texas. Was it Sean Baker? It was Sean Baker.
Sean Baker, yeah.
He has an interview with the young lady he did. She was apprehensive about doing an interview, but her story was amazing. She switched to the carnivore diet, and because she was a mom and they didn't have a lot of money, but she realized this was curing so many illnesses that she had that doctors couldn't fix or couldn't help her. So she went to the carnivore, but because they were on such a tight budget, because they really didn't have any extra, she went to pork fat. She said she could do, I forgot the name of exactly what it is that she would purchase, but she actually had somebody that she could, like a butcher or a shop that would sell her the pork fat, and she would...
Pork belly?
Yeah. And she would take them, chop them up, and then fry them herself. And she said she ate that with hamburger meat. And that's what she basically lived off. And she said if she was able to get steak, she would get some eggs, but she said that the pork belly and the burgers, what she mainly lived off of. And she had severe acne. I think it was rheumatoid arthritis. And it cleared up about 9% of her issues. So, I mean, there's ways for us to do it, ways for us to keep it without breaking the bank. For me, it's when I buy for everybody else. When it's just Dante and I eating, it's not nearly as much as it used to be. It's way less. I'm only buying 2 or 3 things. And if I know where to get those things at the best price, it's even better. But when I have to buy for other people, with the kids, I do Whole Foods. I try to do, 1 veggie, 1 small starch. sometimes I don't even do, a lot of times I have been cutting out the starch actually. I've just been doing a small veggie with a lot of meat because I know that that's what's best for them. So, um, but it is possible and it's doable. You know, it's just one of those things like that trucker that I met. I'm standing next to in line at a little small roadside place to get food, and he says, "Oh, my friend wants me to try carnivore, but I'm a truck driver." And I said, "I'm standing in the same line with you at the same uh, food spot, and I'm buying 2 hamburger patties, bacon." I said, "You can get the same thing." And he's like, "So, you know, he's just not there yet. He doesn't want to do it. He likes what he's doing, and that's fine. Some people, it takes a life-threatening illness."
I see Laura Russell is in the chat. She said she just did a video on cheap carnivore. It can be done. I see it on
Yes.
the YouTube stream. I don't see it on my on screen. I do have another question from Nancy about the plantar fibroma, and it was, is it on the tendon? Yes, it is on the tendon in the arch of your foot. Feels like a little golf ball in there. Rick says Miami is hell. I love Miami. I love it down there. I don't care how hot it is. At least you got that East Coast breeze. We don't get that here on the west side.
Yeah, we do.
Not like they do down there.
No, but we do get a breeze. We do. If we were closer, we're only about, I don't know, 10, 15 miles from the Gulf, but
It's just not like being on the coast. I mean, when I was growing up in Deerfield Beach and we were just 2 miles from the Atlantic, it was like you just always had wind and it smelled of the ocean. I miss that.
I'm gonna have to get Dante some oceanfront property.
We used to get those like some type of thing you put sticks in, and it had a scented juice just so I could have the ocean smell. And then I would put on YouTube at night, I'd put the ocean sounds on when we lived in Georgia. I missed it so much.
We gotta go to the beach. Just take a day drive out there.
Nancy brought up a point. Chickens will eat your unwanted critters, Katie. We know that. We miss our chickens. There's
I
no
do.
doubt. It's the other critters that eat the chickens that make it so difficult.
I do want to get some more, but we have to do some work on the we need to double reinforce it before I get more because it's a heartache. You know, I get pets and I love them. You know, my birds in my backyard. It's like I love them. They're all my little creatures, and when something bad happens to them, it breaks my heart. So I want to make sure.
Well, that's good to know if it's still on sale. Today's Wednesday. It's the last day for Publix's sales. So $5.99 a pound for, what was that, brisket? Not terrible. Cheap for Publix.
Is that for everywhere? Because
typically Publix is the same across the board. At least most of them are in Florida, so I don't know. Some of them are in Georgia and some of the other states, but typically they're the same across the board because I check their ads every week. I have a reminder every Thursday to check their ad.
Well, I get some of that brisket if that's still on.
Yeah, I think North Dakota Carnivore is talking about the tough love with the family thing here, and it hasn't worked for anyone yet. It doesn't work for a non-receptive audience. What I was dealing with was somebody who was joining us specifically because he wants to learn about this way of eating. When somebody is interested in learning about this way of eating, I don't think there's a problem with stating the truth exactly as it is. But when you got somebody who's not even on board, don't bother. Don't try to bang it through their head because they're not ready to quit. They're addicted. It's like trying to get somebody to quit a drug that they're used to. They've got to get to the point where they realize they need to do something before you can use that tough love. When it comes to food, maybe with drugs you can do it if you want to do an intervention in that case, but sometimes you have to save their lives. I think it's almost similar, but it's just getting people to change the way they eat has a lot more to do with emotional things than it does with just the addiction. It's a combination of the two. Sandy's keeping up with the thumbs ups. Thank you so much.
I'll look at it later. I don't want to spend my whole time on the phone.
Right. Well, I'm looking for questions here, and I'm still not seeing. Has anyone ever tried corvina? It's a flaky white fish that's a lot like cod, tastes like butter.
Never heard of it.
I haven't heard of it either.
I would try it. I enjoy fish. I haven't had a lot of it lately because we're just keeping it simple. Salmon's really expensive right now, and really you can't find any fresh caught salmon out there. It's all farm raised, and I don't want to buy farm raised fish. So we really haven't. We've kind of stayed away from it, but I would try it.
I'm trying to sit back here so I don't look like I'm 10 times bigger than you all the time. Alex asks, do you sauna?
We live in a sauna.
Yeah, that's it. I'm in Florida.
It's
so
the
when I go outside, it
is
the sauna. Question: what are your thoughts on raw milk, kefir, and butter? I never know if I pronounce that right. Kefir, or whatever. I always think of Kiefer Sutherland. Raw milk, a lot of people swear by it. I can't really do dairy. I've tried raw milk and I've had it, but it's one of those things where it's still got lactose and it's still going to cause me to want to drink more of it. And it was delicious, but I decided I didn't want it. Now, if I was going to have something for my kids and they wanted to have cereal, I'd rather have that than the pasteurized garbage because most of it doesn't have any fat in it. So, I mean, if you're going to have something, at least something have the fat. They take all the cream out of the milk they sell you in the store. I don't know much about kefir. Maybe Katie can answer that one. Kefir. See, there you go.
Yes, I heard a lot about it. Jake Giuliani, I think his name is. I've heard him on the Quite Frankly show. He's a good friend of him. He highly recommends clean kefir as a gut restoring gut health. I have not tried it. I don't trust the stuff that's in the store. I look at the ingredients, but if I found a place that sold good clean kefir, I would try it. I don't have any issues with dairy. So, but I don't drink it a lot. I actually haven't had it in a long time because I have an addiction to ice cream. So if I get a glass of it, I'm going to want another glass of it, I think. So I'm trying to stay away.
And then the answer for butter kind of depends on your circumstances. Some people are very sensitive to the casein that's in butter. Even though that butter usually has all the buttermilk removed from it, you're still going to get some in there. And, you know, dairy is really for making things bigger anyway. I mean, it's for making animals grow. It's for making babies grow.
It's high in calories.
So, I mean, it's not something that you're looking to do if you're trying to gain weight lose weight for sure. And if you're trying to avoid any sugar cravings, you want to stay away from a lot of those things. But butter doesn't have the sugar issue that you'd be concerned with. It's just that I know that initially I couldn't do a lot of butter when I was starting Lion Diet because it would affect my gut. But now, 4.5 years of doing this, almost 4.5 years, I eat a lot of butter. And it's grass-fed butter. I get the Irish butter mostly from Aldi. I have tried some of the Amish butter that they sell at Publix when it's on sale. So.
And where'd you get that block that we have now?
From Publix.
And we have a market, it's called Cannon Farms right down the road from us. When they're open, they sell a roll about this big, a roll of butter, and it is delicious. And there's only those 3 ingredients. Do you remember when I bought that?
Mm-hmm.
I try to stop by there when they're open, but they're not open every weekend.
The only thing I had about those rolls of Amish butter is the paper is always so thin that you don't get halfway through it before it's all torn apart, and you got to get some more. You got to get some more wax paper out and wrap it up again.
In a baggie.
Question: have you tried castor oil on your fibroma, Dante? No. Well, I mean, it's underneath the skin and it's on the tendon, so I don't.
People highly
consume the castor oil.
No, you rub it on like an oil. You rub it on your feet.
I have not tried that. I haven't seen anything about castor oil being able to help with it. The closest thing I've tried is I used what's that sport? I always forget the name of it. The lacrosse balls, because they're tougher than tennis balls, but not as hard as a baseball. I would use lacrosse balls to roll my feet on the ground and try to rub it, and it's supposed to help it go down some, but it didn't do a whole lot of good. It seemed to reduce them some though, but they're still there. They're just not as big as they were.
I bought
Rick
some.
is just going on and on about Fort Lauderdale and Miami. I miss it down there, but I know there's too many people down there now.
Yes.
What were you saying before I jumped in?
I say my mom bought me a little bottle of castor oil, and she's like, "Here, rub this on your My knees were starting to hurt and my neck. She's like, "Here, rub it on your body and rub it into your skin. It's good for your hair." And so I was using it on my hair. I didn't put it directly on my skin, but I was using it in my hair. And one day, Dante and I were in the bathroom talking, and I said, "I don't know, it's castor oil." And I started reading it. There's no castor oil in it. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We were reading the ingredients. I don't even think there was any castor oil in it. It was like everything else but castor oil. So just like everything else, you have to make sure to buy the right product.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the things I've become a ingredients policeman. Every time I see Katie or mom or somebody come in with a bag of anything or a box of anything, I'm like, all right, give me that.
Yep.
Did you even look at this? It's just that what's on the front of the box is a lie most of the time. It's not even what it says is in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, Thomas is here. Good to see you, Thomas. Sharon says it's pronounced kefir.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Kefir is how I've always heard it pronounced, so I just picked that up from that.
So Laura says apply castor oil and use a pack. Works great. I have a video on that as well. It works great.
Okay.
We'll have to check it out, Laura. For those of you who haven't checked out Laura's channel, you got to check out Laura Russell. She's dynamo. I had her on for one of our carnivore conversations, and it was one of the biggest hits I've had. I'd love to have her back. She doesn't have enough subscribers, so go check her out. She needs more. Are you fro? I don't think so, Nancy.
Yes, I have a fro. This is natural crazy hair.
I have a little fro going on. I haven't shaved my head in a couple of days.
Yes, Alex, Aldi Irish butter is cheaper. That's where we get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get my eggs, my butter, and bacon all from Aldi because it is the cheapest in town. But Dante found at Sam's Club the eggs really went down because they were 16 eggs for 18 eggs. I'm sorry, 18 eggs for how much?
Just over $6. It was like $6.10.
That was the best deal we've been able to find. So Dante literally brought me home just a box of eggs, and so yeah, I shop at Aldi regular.
Yeah, it's my favorite too. The only reason I really got the Amish butter is because I was at Publix picking up my normal club sodas and checking out their what was that I was talking about earlier? the ground chuck that was on sale. And I didn't want to have to make another stop at Aldi because I just picked up Levi from school and he wanted to get home and he has to do more schoolwork when he gets home. So it's like, all right, I'll cut out a stop and pick up the Amish butter. I know Katie likes it and it's not too bad. But I love Aldi's butter. All right, I think this was the question Nancy wanted to ask. Do you have any Northern European ancestry, Dante? We may have inherited this. I am 50% Dutch. My mother maiden name was Kaiser, so that's about as German as you can get. And so yes, I do have a little bit of Northern, but it's mostly Southern European according to 23andMe, which after all their changes in policies I wish I'd have never done. But anyway, I did learn a little bit about myself. Not that it did me any good. Yeah, this is a good rule when it comes to all the ingredient stuff. Just don't eat anything from a box. You'll be fine. But I know that that's tough when you got a family full of people. talking about ingredients is important for helping people understand what they're eating, because they constantly just think of the front of the box. It says it's this, but it's not. It's all this chemical compound of mess. And if you can't get them to wake up to that, then they're never going to see it, because they're just going to convince themselves that it's just fine to keep eating this garbage.
Lisa also doesn't eat anything from a can.
I don't eat anything from a can.
No, I know. I'm just saying, because some people, when the Atkins diet was popular, I'd see my friends, they'd open a can of tuna and just eat it straight out of the can.
Yeah, I used to do tuna and peanut butter of all things back when I was doing Atkins diet.
You're starving when you do that.
It was actually something that was, I got used to, but it was crazy. Where's the B fast? Do you feel you've done lion diet long enough to where the body should be healed and you can add work, etc., with no issues? I've been able to add some things back, but not everything. Some things are still the problem. If the juice from the vegetables is in my meat, it still affects me negatively. So, yeah, I've had a little bit of bacon, but if I have too much, I notice I start to gain weight, and I keep away from it for partly for that reason, because I don't want to. I love being my high school wrestling weight. I'm still right there at 190. 189 was my actual high school wrestling weight, but I love being. Oh my goodness, we've gone over an hour already. These are just going so fast. Thank you, Carnivore Kip. I appreciate that compliment. Didn't have any super chats, and it looks like we're at the end of the list here, so I guess we're going to cut it short. Not cut it short, but cut it off here, unless anybody does have a final question they wanted to ask. I appreciate you guys joining us again, and thank you again for all the prayers for my mom. All right, one quick question here. How do people eat carnivore when we travel for a living? I drive motor coaches nowadays and have a hard time staying within a decent budget. You want to take that one? I know we've covered it before.
Yeah, so we live in an awesome time. We have convenience of things like air fryers. And although, I don't know how to say it, I'm so tired, I'm so sorry. So we have air fryers. I have a lunchbox that heats up and cooks itself now. You're still going to have to cook eventually. So when you cook, you're going to have to prep. You're going to have to cook extra. You can hard-boiled eggs. If you do have to eat out, if you're traveling, you can always order low carb. Hardee's does a burger that you can have 2 patties. That'll get you through a lunch. If you go anywhere, I went to a Fuddruckers. They had the hangover burger. It was a burger with egg, cheese, and bacon. Delicious and perfect. And of course, if you can't be super strict like Lion Diet, you can definitely do low carb or just meat, just carnivore. A budget, it's the same for every brand budget. Eating out's going to kill you because it's just too expensive to eat out anymore. Going by McDonald's to get into, a burger used to be what? $3, $2? It's like $9 now for just like a burger. It's absolutely ridiculous. So you buying your food at the store, prepping it, and then eating it later is way cheaper. It's amazing.
It depends on how many amps you're able to pull in those motorhomes that you're driving. I mean, an air fryer is going to be 15 to 20 amps in some cases, but they make smaller ones. As long as it's big enough to cook the steak you want to be able to fit in there, or burgers. You got hibachi grills. You got there's small egg grills. I have one that's a 13-inch grill. That would be perfect for somebody who's traveling. You could sit out on the porch area and do your grill in there.
The skillet, that plug-in skillet. We had an awesome flat skillet about this big. We could make sausage or bacon, eggs. What else did we cook on that? Like ham. I did some of the kids for a little time like those little ham slices. I forgot the breakfast ham. Fill that whole thing up. You can make a good meal out of that. And some people don't mind eating bacon cold. I'm one of them. I can eat bacon or the sausages cold to take with me. But that heating lunchbox is definitely a game changer for people because it comes with a car adapter.
Mm-hmm. There's ways to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's a will, there's a way. You can find it and you can do it. So I just wish you the best in your carnivore journey, and we thank you guys for joining us this time. We will see you next time.
Arrivederci.
If we pay extra?
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?